Hi, folks. Welcome to the podcast. I think this is number 41 now. So, yeah, really happy you can join us. We're live on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Really pleasure to have you here. And we've got a couple of excellent guests. I'll get to them in a minute. A couple of things first. As I said, we are live, so you can ask questions. You can do that on both platforms. If you have a question, type it in. I'll be able to see that on my screen here. And we'll take those either at the end or as we go along. If you've got something that's fits in with the story that we're telling today. Also, recording will be made available, and if you guys want to share it with colleagues or you think anyone would be interested in it, please do. You'll also be able to find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. The audio recording, I'll make sure that goes up pretty soon. So, what else can I tell you? Yes, of course. I mean, if you're interested in, more of what we do, podcasts and live streams about smart buildings and technology in the built environment, then please subscribe. You can do that on LinkedIn and you can do that on YouTube as well. If you search for Smart Building Series on YouTube, you'll find our channel. So let me introduce a guest today. First, hi guys. First, Tearle Whitson from MetroNational. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, James. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And got a really interesting subject that we're going to kick off in a minute. And Rob Murchison from Intelligent Buildings.
Hi, Jim. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Rob? Thanks for coming back.
Fantastic.
Good. So we are talking about MetroNational's cybersecurity story. Fascinating subject. I mean, just in general, of course, like OT cybersecurity is just a massive issue in the smart building industry. And I think it's something that we all want to shed some light on. That's why we asked Tearle to come on, because I think, for operational people out there, like in commercial real estate, it's a really important subject to get to understand. And Tearle, you'll kick us off in a minute, but you're relatively new to MetroNational, so this is something you can talk about this journey that you guys have been on. So yeah, I mean, kick us off. Why not tell us like how long you've been there and sort of the start of this smart building cybersecurity story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would, as you alluded to, my time here is just a little over 3.5 months. I, brought in here, not too long ago, mid June, July. Recruited in from to come and bring an operational technology perspective to MetroNational. I am thankful for having great mentors and leaders that I'm working for that had started this journey well before me. Dennis Hall and Chris Ponto, our CTO and our vice president of IT, they really had been on a journey over the last few years to take MetroNational, great company doing amazing business and hosting, delivering a wonderful product and fulfilling their mission of building better lives. And the company had been doing all the right things, but Dennis was brought in by our CEO, Jason Johnson, with a clear mission to modernize and increase our digital capacities and take a distinctive look at all of the various aspects of how MetroNational's business could be enhanced with digital data products. And ultimately, one of the biggest pillars of that was cybersecurity. Chris Ponto has had great contacts in the industry. He's even connected me in with the real estate cybersecurity security consortium. And when they had the idea, they actually reached out to Rob's organization, Intelligent Buildings, and they'd started a journey almost 2 years ago, I think, well into 24, of assessing the campus and understanding what was the size and complexity of the challenges ahead of us. Collectively, as they came along that journey, they realized that much of our IT world was in increasingly good position, but the OT side of the house, all of the operational technology systems, had not had the same level of visibility, had not had the same level of support and attention over the years. That began, again, also leveraging IB's strengths and being able to point them in that direction to say, how do we do this better? What can we assess? I was brought in to be an on the ground embedded role within the team to take and help lead that and provide overall strategy and governance to it. And thankful I'd had actually a fairly long working history with Rob and IB as a whole in the past. So coming into it, it was refreshing for me to know that I had a partner right around day one that I could lean on. And
Hmm.
so the journey with them and going through the audit and understanding the details from our assessment was good. And kind of launching into how do we roll this out? How do we operationalize it and provide a mature process to get this across the sites and the disparate sites that we had and bring it to bear in a productive manner without disrupting our already very well and very well managed successful business.
Hmm. Brought out some good points there about disruption. We'll get on to that. But maybe, yeah, you could just give us an overview then of, because you're based in Houston, what is sort of Metro National's footprint? What
Correct.
buildings are you responsible for there?
Yeah, Metro National is a multi generational family business that had started in the 50s. Vision of the founder, Joe Johnson, to build a city within a city here in the West Houston area, and had increasingly invested and cultivated a site, starting with the Memorial City Mall, expanding into multifamily apartments, expanding into commercial office and real estate, launching one of the largest and first hospitals, medical care facilities in West Houston as well, with the Memorial Hermann medical offices and complex. And collectively, we are about a 10 million square foot property developer with investments and development and other areas around West Houston, but really with a clear mission of how to continue the legacy and build on those foundations of developing Metro National with a build and hold process. They're not
Hmm.
a tip, not to they're a property manager or property developer that looks to for the long term and hold and develop a site for long term. So much of their process has been to develop these sites and then grow them over time, invest in them, and look for long term tenants that will, benefit from the site and benefit from the collection of buildings within this environment as well.
Hmm. Okay, so very varied portfolio there that you
Yeah,
guys have over that 10 million square feet. Okay.
yeah, quite a mixed use.
Indeed.
So Tearle, if I could just jump in, Tearle. So you've been there
Absolutely.
a few months, and
Yes.
the journey had already started. Um,
Hmm.
this podcast is about the real ROI and the realization of things that you need to do as buildings become more digital, and digital infrastructure is such a big part of
Yeah.
that. Tell us a little bit about the problem that overall. I mean, state cybersecurity is important. I think everyone knows that. But
Sure.
what give us a little bit more color on the problem that you guys were trying to address and some of the things that you've seen as you've gone down this beginning of this journey, if you will.
Yeah, and I'd say in the relatively new OT world and cybersecurity stories, it's the tale as old as time, right? It's everybody trying to operate and maintain these buildings, do with the best of intentions to do the right things, but often the development activities from a construction activity happen within somewhat their own silos and their own delivery mechanisms as they come along. A new project is stood up, general contractor is awarded, all of the subcontractors come along, they build a building, build a site. uh, they approach it with standard practice. They bring in people that are have and should be delivering the right OT principles, but often there is a core case of focus on value engineering and delivering at cost as the best product you can. Often what happens is some elements, while the product is right, that the OT security aspects are not always considered straightforward as the first line of defense. And often the operational elements are the first piece that they look at. How does a vendor come in, a control contractor, a low voltage support company, come in and support that site remotely? So the systems are put in. Again, kind of it's the same story across many properties and portfolios where um, they're put in without a management structure. They're put in without complete awareness by the IT teams. Often they are built with their own dedicated networks and or remote connections only for the vendors to provide support. The engineering and operations team often don't have the domain knowledge to really recognize that, hey, these are problems and risks, and they open ourselves to threats. Great, well dedicated support and engineering teams, but IT or OT principles, where they two meet, are not necessarily always their core delivery and structure, and they don't have the time and resources to focus on it. So, the buildings and the sites, building management systems, lighting control systems, uh, security cameras, access control, fire systems, often in their own silos. Again, unmanaged, unpatched, unsupported systems. Um, Systems operated great. They had remote support, but those remote connections were often unsecured. If you didn't know about it, maybe it wasn't a big threat, but in maybe 15, 20 years ago, that was less of a concern. But with publicly available scanning tools now, more and more, if you're publicly exposed, you are at risk. And it was one of the biggest challenges was to secure that remote border and provide an opportunity to add a layer of security there. Um, Again, I think that the site teams had all the best intentions to deliver an operational product, but they solutioned and solved things sometimes that weren't, they might go to other remote sites or remote logins or make their domains available so they could get to them remotely and be able to service and support the site, but without a clear understanding and mandate to focus on the security aspects. And so ultimately, one of the biggest things we took as that challenge, and Rob's team really delivered, was providing an opportunity to secure that remote access point with a zero trust gateway, leveraging a tempered airwall and being able to put that in place. And at the end of the day, knowing and how that process was going to be deployed, and then working, engaging with all of my site teams to reassure them that the intent is not to take away their capabilities. We still want the same great delivery that they were doing before. We want awesome uptime. We want customer and tenant support, all the things that they had, and they had the ownership and pride of delivery. And we just wanted to find the right way to bring it to them and engage them. So we had to shift their tools. We had to secure some of those elements, provide some training, and walk them through the process. And I think that in the end gets us, making sure that we have a clear vision on the outcomes and that they know we're here to partner with them. It helps sometimes that I was now MetroNational and, could say, hey, I'm on your team. I'm part of your delivery. So I have the same stake in the game as you do. Not that, Rob and IB didn't have their best interests at heart. It's just sometimes when you're navigating the world with an outside vendor, internal teams sometimes will take in and look at them a little bit as they have their own intent, they have their own interests maybe, and not always embrace it. And you need a little bit of an on-site champion to sing the praises and to bridge the gaps. And every time there's a misunderstanding or a email with all caps gets lit up the chain because something's not working or
We'll have one of
connecting,
those.
somebody can step in the middle of it and say, all right, I'm here, I'm going to help take care of this. If there's a problem, it's on me, I own it. The buck stops with me. And making sure that they got that and they understood that I was on their side and fighting for them, with my support coming from IB especially.
Yeah. It a lot of what it sounds like is what they call in corporate speak, isn't it? Change management. But basically, you're
It
bringing
is.
along. It's not just the technical part of it, right? Like
Yeah.
it's bringing everyone with you.
People and process, and those are the biggest elements of success in delivering these programs. We hadn't touched on it, though. At my in a past life before finding this campus as my new home and really loving the site that I'm on now, I'd spent a couple of decades up at the Microsoft headquarters up in Redmond, Washington, and had managed that smart buildings deployment across a large corporate footprint. Um, all the resources in the world. We had great technical teams. We had great partner support. It's where I had first engaged with Rob and Intelligent Buildings.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, until I learned and my team learned change management processes, um, we weren't winning that game, not to the level that we could. Like I said, we had all the resources in the world, but until we learned to engage our teams with, the right change management approach, I often sing the praises of. We had a summer intern from University of Washington that introduced us to the ADCAR model, and that process of guiding and bringing people along the journey. It's an acronym that ultimately establishes the change management principles of provide the awareness, and communicate the desire of the why you want to do this, provide and reinforce the knowledge of the mechanism of how this system is going to make things better, reinforce their ability to engage the tool and understand how to have support, and then at the end of that, reinforce it. Provide process, provide documentation, bring follow-up learning and training, have an onboarding for everybody that needs to come in and engage the program. So all of those principles are things that I was fortunate enough to be a part of and learn at that site, and I'm carrying forward here. And again, we have the best technology in the world. We have amazing partners and providers. If I don't win their hearts and minds on the team and the boots on the ground, whole thing will get thrown out, and because of the wrong perspective or wrong view, unfortunately.
Mm. So
So
as of
Jim,
today, go on. Sorry, Rob.
Mhm.
no, no, I was just gonna say that sounds like a lot of work,
It can
winning
be
those hearts and
at
minds.
times.
So, so,
It
so
can be.
I'm at. It can be. So I'm asking for the listeners out there: is it worth it, or do you not have a choice?
You have no choice. At the end of the day, and I've had a pretty blessed career in being able to expose to smart buildings. I feel like kind of almost from the beginning, from our program, launch in 2009, 2010 at Microsoft, engage with the wider community. There's amazing technical talent out there. There is amazing delivery of assets and capability. The solutions have taken leaps and bounds, and from cloud provisioning to now into machine learning and AI ventures. The tech is always there. The service providers are out there. But I have seen over and over again that without winning hearts and minds and understanding and connecting to the teams on the ground and communicating the needs and the whys of the program, all of it is for naught. All of it kind of unfortunately in many cases, and I'm sure that there are some great sessions on at IBCon and other conferences about this, that technology gets installed. In many cases, 3 to 5 years down the road, we don't like to post those use cases, but it's left abandoned, and sometimes it's not being deployed or not being leveraged or utilized. And the outcomes that we had great papers on in the first 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, they all often don't have the same longevity that we'd like to see of other mature programs. And this is one of the biggest things that I would advocate for everywhere is the change management and the engagement with the teams is the most important part of the program.
Mm. Yeah. So as of today, like where are you now in the process?
Better than we were, for sure. We still have work to do. There's still a fair amount of work out there. We have deployed our gateways. That process has, we brought the teams along. We onboarded them. We provided some grace period to make sure we learned along the way. that the teams understood how they were going to connect to the systems. We have gotten to a point where collectively all of the teams are accessing the system on almost on a daily basis. They are authenticating for remote access and going through the process. So one, we can measure and manage that activity. We can see who's in the systems. We see who's not in the systems, and we know that, hey, there's another change activity that we can engage and follow up with reinforcement training and make sure that they have the right tools. So we have secured all remote access to the sites, and that's a great win because unfortunately we did have some vulnerabilities, and in our assessment we saw clear capabilities where if we had not caught it and not been engaged and had the foresight to do it, we could have been exposed, and those exposures can, to brand and image and even worse, can cause significant damage to a company in the tunes of millions. And when you look at the cost mitigation to engage, systems and services, the ROI is very clear. It only takes typically one incident to have more than paid for itself, and to believe that it won't be you, is a little bit of a blind eye to a problem that is more common and increasingly capable ecosystem out there of threat actors that we have to be aware of. But as far as the rest of the deployment, we have still a list of other remediations. We have engagements to on the back end of updating and patching systems, converging the networks, securing cabinets. One of the things coming from an ecosystem where all the resources in the world and all the IT management process that had holistically been in place for many years, to a place that had to solve businesses along the way, has many multi-tenant sites, and often winds up in converged IT networks and IT closets, IDFs, MDF rooms, and those cable rooms. They can be their own challenge. And that's one of the things I'm finding is that I want to make sure that we take our critical infrastructure and we secure it. So there's still some roadmap work to go. It's basics. It's not always the super sexy, I can't whip an AI up to go solve that problem for me. I need to go and, pull all the network cables and dissect the spaghetti in order to get the systems laid out in front of me, and that I can put a cabinet around them and lock them up. I can put access control on them, and I can start to manage and measure who does what. We've got all of that ahead of us, and but because we've done the right homework, we've had a provider that helped us out with IB. I'm going to keep tipping my hat to my leadership because they had the forethought to lean into this with Dennis and Chris. We have a roadmap, and I'm working through budget projections right now of saying, hey, these are the things that I need to prioritize. They are high vulnerabilities, medium, low. We know where we got to, have our touch points, but I've got a clear roadmap to start to lay the groundwork ahead of me right now.
And where does this put you? I'm guessing, to me, this sounds like the foundations now that you're laying for, you securing the network. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then, in terms of your plans for the future, is this going to give you that foundation to build on to do actually some of the more exciting kind of projects about, with technology?
Absolutely. And those are the things that, those are the ones that get up on the poster. They're the ones that, make the cool image on LinkedIn and all. And we're going to get there. It's got, but we've got to get the network secure, consistent, stable, up to date, and managed. And we're starting that roadmap to get the core infrastructure, but autonomous optimization, AI machine learning processes. We've got some engagements that are already starting down that road. We've got, energy efficiency projects that I'd love to continue to engage our teams with, and take some of the fault detection and diagnostics that I've been able to leverage elsewhere, and apply them across our systems. But when you have those exposures, you're always one eye on the leaky dam, and maybe not always able to get to some of those other problems. And also, I want to make sure that we're not, in an organization where we're put the makeup on the front, and not have the secure foundation underneath. Have the flashy thing that we, metaphor, the lipstick on the pig necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but it's I don't want to just have the shiny side of it be the thing that we see. At the end of the day, um, I'm reminded of our mission is to build better lives and to provide a product to our tenants that they feel comfortable with. Their security presence is comforting. The technology is innovative. They feel like this is a great place to be and work in. Whether it's you're an occupant in one of our apartments, whether you're a tenant inside the commercial office, or you're a customer coming to the mall, that ultimately our technology is going to be throughout ubiquitous in a way that increases their experience of being on this site at Metro National. But we've got to get the basics right first.
Mm.
But the cool things are coming.
Go
Question
for it,
for
Rob.
you, Tearle. What was the tagline you used? The change people's lives
Build
is
better lives. Yep,
build better
absolutely.
lives.
And
So it's sorry. It sounds like that over the last few years, having the technology in the built environment has now become a pillar of
yeah,
building those better lives.
absolutely.
Is that a
And
fair
like I said,
statement?
100%, and it's very much so. Like I said, I've been leaning on and learning from Dennis, our CTO, and Chris Ponto, our VP of IT. They've had a great vision. It's one of the things that drew me. I was pulled recruited across the country from Seattle to Houston to come and engage on this project because they had laid down all the tracks of learning and providing a vision, and I saw something that I really wanted to engage in, and that I know I could help. I knew that I could lead with taking the elements of the OT side of it and build off what they had done, and had experience with quality partners across the board on how we deliver these things. And so I think Metro National as a whole is going to continue. They have been and will continue to benefit from our engagement in technology and our digital transformation roadmap. That's still ahead of us.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Rob, any final thoughts about this in general, like not just from Metro National's perspective, but from your other clients? Like where is the kind of level of cybersecurity at the moment, in your opinion?
Well, I think you said it earlier. It's foundational. It's table stakes. And Carol, you may have some color on this, but the challenge is because of the design process that he talked about, and the things getting done in different silos, and technology not being on necessarily the forefront. We call it CRE tech. Budgeting for protecting all this stuff is not sitting in the asset manager's
Yeah.
budget typically,
And
and without a
construction and
vision like they
development
have,
teams.
or construction without a vision,
Yeah.
that part doesn't get taken care of. But I think, well, I know from what we see with our other customers, if you have a holistic view, the experience which Tearle is talking about, and the forthcoming cost savings that they're going to get because
Yep.
the systems are connected will more than pay for this effort.
Mm.
And so it will, we talked about an ROI if we just had that $1 million incident, but there's a bigger ROI because of the connectivity now allows us to unlock hidden inefficiencies.
Absolutely.
And that's where I
Absolutely.
believe where Tearle is going to be taking this over the next few years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure. It's that reliability and confidence in when you deploy those other systems that you have the backbone in order to do so. You're not inheriting technical debt on every project because you've done the homework ahead of time.
good
Yep.
stuff. Well, I think that's not a bad place to finish, but I think maybe any other final thoughts before we leave everyone?
We've got a great opportunity ahead of us. I think, like I said, we've got ventures in almost every direction. We've developed out with our partners a great roadmap, and with technology in every direction. But we've thankfully had the right practice and principles to get our foundations right. So I'm looking forward to another year, another 2 years down the road. We're going to see we'll see the flashy and shiny things start to get delivered. But we'll know that we've got the underlying structure that supports Metro National correctly underneath everything. So we'll check back in a couple of years.
Hmm. Rob, I'll let you have the final word if you want one.
I would say for anyone listening to this that hopefully Tearle's built the case of the cybersecurity posture, but you also need to first understand what the heck you got in your buildings. And that
Absolutely.
sometimes is the best way to get the attention of the broadest stakeholder group. He had that benefit at Microsoft. We had leadership at MetroNational, but a lot of folks don't necessarily know everything from a digital perspective. So if you go about learning that piece, that uncovers a lot of other opportunities for you.
Great. Guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry we didn't really have time for questions, but put them in the comments, and if we and then we can reply to them later because they'll still be up there. So we'll get to those if there are any. Or if you're watching this later, feel free to leave a comment and we can come back to it. And you can, I'm sure, Tearle, you'll be happy to answer any questions if people have
Absolutely.
or want some advice.
Yep.
Yeah. Brilliant.
For sure.
Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll be back in December with another podcast delving into this, subject of ROI of smart building projects. See you then.